Hi, what is up, people? So let's go through this One Piece chapter. Let's try and break it down. Okay, first of all, first and foremost, I have to go back to the thing that the editor, one of Oda's editors, said in the beginning of the week, which was essentially that starting from this chapter forward, the pacing of the Whole Cake Island arc would be a lot faster. Okay? Because this is an excellent example of what the editor meant when he said that the arc was going to be a lot faster paced. If you look at the way that this chapter is divided, Oda has different subplots running throughout this arc. And just in the opening sequence of this chapter, you have the mirror world subplot get resolved with Chopper and Carrot. And I think that pacing management was something that Oda really took into consideration after he was done with Dressrosa. Because if you remember, Dressrosa really started dragging out certain subplots, especially during the middle of the arc. So I think that after he wrote Dressrosa, Oda said, "Okay, I understand. A lot of people are tired. A lot of people have arc fatigue. So I'm gonna pick up the pace in future arcs." Zoe was a very concise, very well written arc in terms of time management, and it seems like Whole Cake Island is becoming a lot faster. So going back to the whole mirror world thing with Chopper and Carrot, if this had been Dressrosa, that subplot would have probably taken us an entire chapter to get done with, to resolve. But because of what the editor said, faster pacing, so that's the example. It's the perfect example. This is what the editor meant. Instead of having an entire chapter dedicated to one subplot, we can shift back and forth between other things. So we get that conclusion, and we get, other cliffhangers and other very interesting things introduced in the same chapter. And it would have been the same thing in Fishman Island. Fishman Island also had pretty bad. Actually, Fishman Island had one of the worst types of pacings in the entire series, in my opinion. But that being said, we get to move forward. And, and in terms of the mirror world, it's basically just Chopper and Carrot fodderdizing Madame Brule and some of the Big Mom subordinates that are there. I don't want to get into it too much because you read the chapter, but essentially, Madame Brule has the ability to transform creatures into mirror images of other people. And this ability of hers was introduced back in the Seducing Woods because she actually used that ability to trick Luffy into thinking that he was saving his friends, when in fact it was just like a bunch of animals, random animals like cats and shit. But anyway, so Madame Brule pretty much tricked herself because she turned a frog into Carrot, and then that whole thing just blew up in her face. And so again, like, Chopper and Carrot fodderdize these people. I mean, Carrot uses her electricity once the water in the pot has been spread, so she uses that to her advantage to electrocute everybody. And then Chopper uses Monster Point, and he flips a gator, and now they have control over the mirror world, which is going to even increase the pacing even further, because that means that if the characters start running in and out of the mirror world, they have shortcuts to get to where they want to be. After that, we cut to Sanji. If you notice, we do not get to see either Nami or Luffy in this chapter because they're both together. So this is kind of Oda's way of keeping that secret of what Pudding told them. He wants to hold out on it. He doesn't want to let us know what that was. So he kind of distracts us with other things. We do get Sanji, and to be honest, the one thing that stood out to me from that entire page of Sanji wanting to cook something for Pudding was that last panel of the flowers that he picked up, or down in the garden. He picked those flowers, and we get that very, it's a kind of like a very melancholic and kind of eerie type of panel, because the roses are actually shaded gray. And so I'm thinking that maybe those roses are kind of foreshadowing something. They look like they're about to die, honestly, and I think that's a representation of something that could be connected with, in terms of what's going on with Pudding. But overall, you totally get the impression that something is just horribly wrong. You can totally tell that something is just off, just way off right now. Now, we go to Brook, and Brook is basically one-shotting everybody in the treasure room. Just a bunch of one-shots. Well, actually, the second person that he one-shots, which is basically this large female with braids, she actually shoots at him. You actually see the bullets leave her pistols or whatever, but those bullets never touch Brook. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know if that's a sign of observation or what the hell, but whatever the case, he still one-shots her. And then we cut over to outside of the treasure room. Smoothie's like, "Hey, Big Mom, You know, what's going on? And then, like, Big Mom doesn't give a shit. Like, if you look at that panel when we see Brook and then she's in the back, she basically busted through that fortress type door. She busted the wall open pretty much. She was like, fuck this, I'm going in. Just busted that fucking wall open, and she's going in for Brook. And I know it's like the most common assumption to say, oh man, they're gonna fight, Brook is fucked. Well, I think it's too generous to say that they're gonna fight. And you have to remember that Big Mom does not want Brook dead, even though, you know, he's already dead. So it's important to remember that Tamago did tell Smoothie, don't fuck him up, because Big Mom probably wants Brook for her collection. So I think Brook is going directly into the prisoner book. He might even end up like in the same cell, in the same page as Nami and Luffy, you know, because, you know, she likes collecting weird shit. So I think that's what's going to happen. And then it's important to ask this question. Do you think that Brook was able to copy the poneglyphs before Big Mom entered the treasure room? That's my main question. That's my main concern. Because if he didn't, then how are they going to go back? How are they going to get their hands on that information? The only way I see the Straw Hats getting those poneglyphs, if Brook failed to do this, is if Big Mom actually volunteers that information herself. But otherwise, I just don't see how it's going to happen again. Brook said it himself. There's no turning back. If we don't take advantage of this opportunity, we are never coming back here again. And I have to bring this up again, and I've said this in previous reviews, but if you look at the way that Big Mom acts, it doesn't seem like she values the poneglyphs that much. Because she comes in, she sees Brook, she gets a heart in her dialogue text, in her dialogue bubble and shit, and she's like, oh, you're very interesting. Completely neglecting the fact that this guy was trying to steal the poneglyphs, which are instrumental, crucial tools to become king of the pirates. And then I remember when Tamago told Big Mom, hey, there's an intruder here, Big Mom, the thing that she said, she was basically like, oh, well, they better not be here to steal my Tamate Bako box. Like, nobody cares about your stupid Tamate Bako box, you dumb bitch, when you have 3 poneglyphs in a frickin' cell. Whatever, man. Big Mom is crazy. We go over to Pedro, who has been cornered, and for the first time, we actually get to see both Tamago's face without the shades, without the sunglasses, and Pedro's face without his hair covering one of his eyes. And we find out that both of them are missing an eye, which means that the last time Pedro was there, they fought each other, and the fact that they're both missing the same thing kind of means that they were evenly matched. So it seems like this is going to be another matchup between the two. I can't wait for that. And it turns out that Big Mom actually took away 50 years the last time Pedro was there. So he didn't get off clean. Again, I'm not really sure why Pedro was there to steal a poneglyph in the first place. Why would he want to steal a poneglyph for himself? I don't get it. I still think that he was working for somebody else at the time. Maybe not anymore. But I think there's still something sketchy going on that we don't know about Pedro. Just the fact that those scars were revealed just kind of like makes us think about how little we knew about these characters to begin with. So I can't wait to see that fight. And then we close up with Baeju. I know it's Reiju, but you know, she is the Baeju. She is the Baeju of this arc, let's be honest. And she's dripping blood. Like, what the fuck happened, Reiju? Who did this to you? My first instinct was to think that the other Vinsmokes had beaten her up. Because remember, when she was little, the reason why she would pick on Sanji and laugh at him was because she basically told Sanji, I just don't want to be bullied by my brothers like you are. So maybe Oda introduced that fear so that it could eventually become a reality, and she got beaten up by the brothers. But in the beginning of the chapter, we see the Vinsmokes talking, and I think it's Yonji who says, hey, where the hell is Reiju? So it doesn't seem like they know where she is. The only person who doesn't really say anything in that panel is Ichiji. And another thing that I have to stress is that I think out of all of Sanji's siblings, Ichiji and Reiju are the strongest. I think that's pretty much a given at this point. My point here being that whoever did this to Reiju is pretty strong in their own right. All right, a scrub could not have done this to Reiju. I mean, she was busting like bars, like prison bars open when she was a little kid. The Vinsmokes were talking about like putting hostage, but they were talking about this with a room full of like pots and homies and shit, and in the wall there's like a spade with eyes. So I don't know how the fuck they thought, or they think that Big Mom's not gonna find out about their plan. Maybe Big Mom found out about this and she's like, I'm gonna fuck I'm gonna fuck up Reiju. Or maybe it could have even been Capone or something to do with pudding. Maybe the wounds are self-inflicted. If you notice, like most of the blood is coming out from her leg, so maybe she pulled an Anami in Arlong Park and just started stabbing that tattoo on her leg. Probably not. That was kind of a fucking joke. But let me know what you think. Who do you think did this to Reiju? Let me know your thoughts about the chapter. Thank you so much for watching. Overall, I thought it was a decent chapter of One Piece. Like the review if you did, I appreciate that. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more One Piece reviews. Thank you. Bye.